Hello everyone, my name is Klara Hammudeh and I am the politics section editor from Harbinger's magazine. I am sitting here today with Kaja Majewska, who is the film correspondent for Harbinger's magazine, Film and Book Club. Today we will be talking to Kuba, who is a camera operator for ABC News.
That's right.
And a war, how do we call this?
Photographer
War
or
photographer.
a photojournalist, yeah.
So, Kuba, the first question I'm going to ask you is, you are a war reporter and you go to very difficult places with a camera.
True.
What makes you do it? What inspires you to go and do it?
Probably my dysfunctional upbringing. And I think am I serious? Well, partially yes, because I've been studying a lot of my friends doing what they do. What we all do, and I think every one of us had this kind of maybe not rough childhood, but something like you like normal people don't do that, don't throw themselves to conflict zones that often. So that's the shortest answer. And I remember when I was, if I can go back to my, I can say more about it. And when I think my fascination with photography started when I was 14, and then I've went through all stages of photography, like macro photography and all kinds of photography. Then I've discovered the interest I have the most in is human being and human behavior. So I've kind of pursued to photograph people, and I found out the next stage was like the most interesting for me is to take pictures of people in extreme situations, or difficult situations, extreme situations. So I've kind of developed this longing for pushing myself further, and by the age of 16, I think I knew I want to pursue war photography. Even like I had a strict, I wanted to go. I wanted to see firsthand. Also, I've as a child, I always watched the news, so that's also a thing. I was always drawn to the news. I've watched all the news from the world, and I kind of had this idea that I'd like to be there. So I think I've chosen photography to be this vessel for me to be there. So when I was 17, I actually managed to have my first staff job as a photographer at the second biggest newspaper in Poland. So, but I started out slowly. So it took me a few more years to get to cover bigger stories abroad, and I think it was 2006 when I was sent to Belarus for presidential elections. So I was 21 years old, I think. Sorry, my math is terrible. That's why that's why I'm a photographer, probably. So yeah, so something like that. So then it just, when I went there and I covered the elections, I felt like I that's what I want to do. That's what I want to, I was sold on this. So I've from that day, I've in the future, I just knew I want to do this kind of photography, and yeah. Well, there was much more after, of course, Belarus. So till this day, my work changed a bit, because I was a photographer, stills photographer, and a wire photographer. Wire photographer means you're a photographer for an agency, so everyone can buy your pictures for their newspapers and magazines. So that's a little different there's a difference between a wire photographer and a newspaper photographer. So I was both at one point, like 8 years as a news newspaper photographer. Then 8 years I've been a wire photographer. So then I shifted to video, to moving picture, and now I'm doing only this.
And my real question is, how do you mentally deal with all those trips that you have to do? Because, I mean, when I went to Jordan to talk to Gaza, refugees from Gaza, it was very hard for me. It was very hard mentally for me. And how do you deal with all of this? Because I know you went to Gaza.
Yeah.
I know you saw what happened there.
Yes. Yeah. And it was, well, first of all, as I mentioned, you cannot be fully sane, probably. So I really have, like, after all those years of working, my emotions are totally blocked on this. I don't have nightmares. I don't think about it. I just focus on work. I think that's also a way of coping, because I'm behind the lens. I'm actually, I'm not gonna be bringing up all the stories, but I've you basically, my main concern is if everything is in focus, or what's the next step, what can I do more, and yeah, I'm not so connected to my emotions when I work. And Gaza was very interesting for me to see, because I went in with the Israeli soldiers. That's the only way that we could went into the Gaza Strip. So, but I drove in the same way. Like I've been driving down the coast of Gaza with the soldiers, and it was emotional a bit for me, because in 2010 I spent 3 weeks in Gaza. So I've been doing a story in Gaza before, and I spent 3 weeks in Gaza, and I've been living by this coast. I'm pretty sure I saw a building where I was living back then, and it was completely destroyed. So I had this chance to see. I had this chance to see and photograph Gaza before the full scale Israeli war. So yeah.
And have you ever had a moment when you just thought, I can't do this anymore?
Yes, and the kind of moment you're describing, I think they're very short, and the moments you're referring to were moments where I was thinking if I'm gonna live or not. So that's the moments when I ask myself, like, why are you here, and so that was that were the most difficult moments for me, actually. I had maybe 3 of those.
But do you mean that maybe your life was being threatened, or it was
well, different situations. Well, once in when I was covering the war in Libya, I remember me and my fixer and my journalist went in. We took a car and we drove to the front line, and the front line was, in Libya, there were towns along one highway, and every town, small town, was filled with soldiers, and a lot of checkpoints. We long story short, we just I started working at one of the checkpoints, and it was still early on in the war, and the Gaddafi had still had planes, and there was a Gaddafi jet, warplane flying over us, And I remember everyone started shooting towards the plane, and the plane took a turn, and the only thing I remember was a missile that he launched towards us. It looked like it's towards us, so I that was, that's it. I'm gonna die, and but the missile hit 300 meters away from us, making a big hole. We drove away from there. The jet scrambled, went somewhere else, and then I've learned that some of the Gaddafi pilots, they had orders to drop the bombs, to shoot the rockets, but not all of them wanted to kill other Libyans. So he missed on purpose. Like it wasn't difficult to hit 50 people in the middle of the desert for him. So he just missed on purpose. If he would be one of those, hardcore Gaddafi soldiers, we would be obliterated at that moment. So that was one. One was in Ukraine in 2014 when I was, laying in a ditch during just being shot at with mortars. So you don't know where is it coming from. So you're just laying on the ground and hoping it's not gonna hit you. So that was the second. Somewhere in the middle of eastern Ukraine back then. Close to small towns. so those kind of moments that you cannot do anything about. You're just stuck, or you can't move, or you can't. If you're thinking if I'm gonna start running, if I'm gonna get hit, or should I stay here? But if I stay here, if I'm gonna die, it's.
Tricky.
Yeah. So that's the moments that I've had my doubts in pursuing this career. Yeah.
Well, it definitely shows how professional you are.
Professional, yes, and coming back to the first question, yes, the mental illnesses probably is helping.
But also, photographing the war is kind of a sensitive topic because you are the one showing what's really happening there. And my question is, have you ever had any problems when the government wouldn't allow you to post certain arts?
You mean the government, like, of the country that I was in? Or
yes.
Yeah, like, for
the
example,
country
Israeli.
of I was publishing the pictures.
Or someone was
trying to. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times I couldn't take pictures somewhere, so it was difficult sometimes, and in some situations you just don't do it because you can you can lose your freedom or life, so you just don't do it. I'm trying to think of a situation that I've oh yes, I remember. I was in 2014. That's a fun situation. That was the annexation of Crimea, and we had my friend from Reuters called me that there's one that was the last Ukrainian base that haven't surrendered to the Russians, and said, yeah, like this base is gonna be raided by Russians like in the next hour. So I took my rental car that I had back then, and I drove to this small town called Belbek. It was like a little town which had this big military base and a block of flats of people who were working at the base. That was basically the whole town. And we came close to the base, and it was like minutes for the Ukrainians to stop letting people in because more journalists wanted to come in. And I remember we were going over the fence because they were like they around the whole fence they were trying to put plywood and pieces of furniture, like to stop the Russians from raiding the base. So we went into the base, and we were like maybe, I don't know, 10 journalists inside waiting for the Russians to come in, and an hour later they actually came in. They had two APCs, that's like armored cars, that went through the brick walls, started shooting. We were on the ground. I took pictures of that, and after all that, the Ukrainians surrendered. The Russians, that was this Russian Spetsnaz, like the best of the best soldiers they had, they probably are dead right now after 2022, because they would probably they were the first wave in 2022. So after that, they've the Ukrainians surrendered, and they've rounded up all the media people, and they said, look, we're gonna let you go from this base. You can walk away, but you need to give us all the footage you took of this raid. I was like everyone was thinking. I was a stills photographer back then. There were cameramen inside as well, and I remember those people till this day, because they were all Spetsnaz soldiers, like fully equipped with masks, with everything. And one of the guys just took off the mask, and he was like, if you watch one of those cheap US action movies from the 90s, there was always this Russian guy who was kind of handsome, but rough and funny, and it looked like he was like like an American portrayal of a Russian man, and he was dealing with all of us. He was smiling all the way, and I remember he was with German TV. He was speaking German. With us, he was with me and my fixer. He was speaking Polish, and with my friend who works for the New York Times, but he has a Korean passport. He spoke Korean, so I think he killed people in all those countries. So he said, you need to give all the cards, all the tapes. So my first thought was like, maybe I'm gonna go first and sneak my way out and say like, oh, I didn't take any pictures, or they're crap. But someone did it before me and did the same thing. Like said, oh, I was recording, but there's nothing on the tape. And I remember this guy in the mask knew how to rewind a tape on a big ENG camera. Like he just knew. He was just 10 minutes ago, he was storming the base with a gun, and now he knows how to rewind the tape on a complicated news equipment. So I was like, fuck, that was like, that's not good. And he told this guy to strip. So when he told this guy to strip, he actually found the tape very fast. And they smashed the tape. So I was like, okay, so that's not gonna be easy. So and I remember I had this camera equipment, a Nikon something that I got from work, and I was like, Jesus, what am I gonna do? So I found an empty SD card, and I found a function on the camera as I was waiting to be searched to make a full copy of the card. So I took a full copy of the card. I pretended I'm tying my shoelace because we were observed by the people, and I slipped one SD card into my shoe. And then when it came to me, I just showed the pictures, and I played like, "Oh, please don't take my card," and he just took my card and snapped the card. But I had the second card in my shoe, so I sent the pictures from my car outside the base. So that was funny, kind of funny story.
Wow.
But yeah, there. And actually, the moments you were referring to, that's when I feel, and there's not a lot of those moments when I feel like you're showing something that someone doesn't want to see. So that's when I know that I'm in the right place. Actually, that I'm not just like a, for instance, like going into Gaza with the IDF, so or doing a presser or documenting something that's staged or prepared So yeah, so it has, those situations have their downsides, but it's that's actually the situations that I value the most for myself.
And those are the political people who don't want your photos released. And how about the civilians that you take photos of? Have you ever met with hate from the civilians about you taking photos of
Yeah,
them?
yes. Unfortunately, more and more, like people are. It's changed throughout 20 years of my work. I feel it changed. Mostly because of the internet. Like people are, and social media, people don't want to be ridiculed. They don't know, why are you taking the picture, what are you gonna do with the picture. So that is difficult. But it depends, like, I mean, and just thinking about Poland, it changed, definitely changed. But also Poland and countries, our neighbors like Slovakia, Slovenia, all the countries that were part of the, like, we weren't the part of the Soviet Union, but, like, Soviet Union influenced countries are most, I think, difficult to work, as you referred to, taking pictures of people on the street or something, because they have, like, a lot of people have this notion of the Soviet times, and if someone in the Soviet times were taking pictures of you were probably screwed. So it's I think there's something from this era that holds back a lot of people on having their picture taken. So I connect that with it, and now it's the social media, and now I think people don't want to be don't want to see their picture on the social media. I like to observe, street photographers, even street photographers in New York, like the mecca of the street photography, and I have some friends that do this in New York, and it's a gamble. Like there's people who they're gonna shout at you. There's gonna be people that don't mind at all. There're gonna be people smiling. So it depends. It really depends. But some of my friends got actually beaten by someone who they were taking pictures of. So it all depends. I mean, being a photographer, being a cameraman is actually, it was always my. I also always cherished this, to have this kind of shield, because you have this camera and you have the purpose. You're from the press, like you're a press photographer. So so that always gave me confidence when I was working. But more and more I see it devaluated throughout the years. Like the press sign doesn't give you this kind of protection as it had even when I was starting out in early 2000s. So unfortunately, that's it. I remember a lot of times not even showing up my press badge, just taking pictures as a civilian. So it was easy. It's easier because people see press and they want to the society right now is so polarized that people are either rightist or leftist, both in the extremes, and they want to know who are you taking pictures for, and what are you gonna do with it? Why are you filming? And it's just I don't know. It's easier to say I'm just filming for myself.
Yeah, fair. And have you ever met with hate online from people when you post a photo or when you do a post on
Yes.
Instagram, for example? And do you see hate from people there?
That's a good question. And it all comes down to also the Gaza Strip, because I've posted pictures from the Gaza Strip when I was embedded with the IDF. So I got a lot of hate that us and me as a photographer and us as an American outlet, went on an embed with the IDF. And I think, you know how it is to fight for something online with someone, with haters.
Yeah.
If someone is it's really difficult to change someone's mind, so as you know. So I don't actually go into commenting on that, but I got a lot of hate for being there with the IDF. For my defense is for me, I totally get that, and but as a journalist, I wouldn't lose a chance to go somewhere where that's the only way to get in to see something. I mean, if I would be reporting on, for instance, that day in Gaza, the way as for instance, I wouldn't question what the Israeli army was saying, that would be bad. But if I'm going inside and either as a photographer, I'm not even writing what's happening, I'm just showing what's happening, so I'm staging pictures. So if I'm not supporting the North Korean regime, but if they would invite me to come in, I would love to go to North Korea and see what's happening. And if they would be telling me that everyone is super happy here and there would be 5 people smiling at me, I wouldn't necessarily say like, oh, everybody's happy in North Korea. So that's journalism. You're on the ground and you assess. And for me in this line of work, the most important thing is eyes on the ground, boots on the ground. Like you're the person you're the first person to see what's happening. Like you're there. You're not listening to someone else's stories or reports. So yeah, the hate happens. Yes. Yeah.
And are you happy with your job, with your career, and with how you meet with hate and you meet with criticism and the government's trying to keep you away from things and you have to deal with that?
Well, am I dealing with that? Like, it doesn't, I like my job and I am definitely, I wouldn't change my career. There were scary moments, but I had fun. I mean, the adrenaline, I'm definitely drawn to that. Like if I'm sitting at home for more than 2 weeks, I get anxious. So it's a way of life for me, and that's the only job I know actually. So it's hard to get out of this. But if you're referring to this, if you're asking me, like I'm thinking of pursuing more feature career in feature filmmaking in the future, and that's because I have also ideas of my own that I would like to pursue. I have scripts for movies.
Wow.
I have ideas, and they're all actually based somehow around my experience throughout the years. I actually, when I was, I think, 13 years old, I always wanted to be a filmmaker and a film director, and I was back then I was doing film courses when I was 13 and in Warsaw, and we were doing, we were filming on VHS cameras back then and editing in VHS as well. There weren't a lot of computers back then. So, but the problem that back then, and I still remember that I was a big fan of American cinema, and the thing I wanted, and what can a 13-year-old say about in the means of something that's meaningful. Like I didn't and I saw that as a 13-year-old. I saw that I don't have my own voice. I don't have I don't have an idea of what I would like to say, and I think that's fine, because when you're 13 you don't have to have this kind of unless you have some experience of harsh experience in your life. But so I'm coming back to that with 20 years of experience and 20 years of looking at people I hopefully I will be able to pursue the next career of mine, hopefully.
So you said that your dream was to be a film director.
Yes. You know why? Well, I went into photography because I'm lazy, and I was actually, when I was 13, and we had photography as well. We were filming, but we had classes on photography, and I was amazed that you're taking a picture, you develop the picture, and that's it. That's the whole process. I was like, wow, that's great. It was just like amazing for me back then that it was so easy. Doing a movie, editing a movie, doing a script, that's too much for a 13-year-old. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh my God. I was anxious, so I think the line of career I chosen, where everything happens so fast and you just there to catch it, is I think align with my character, I would say.
Yeah. So what I was thinking is that I saw your pictures from Auschwitz-Birkenau, and I really liked this one where you have the bus and it's written Auschwitz-Birkenau there, and also in front of it you have a group of tourists that comes out of it. And I was thinking, it's a very good and meaningful picture, but let's say if you wanted to film it and the tourists would go out and they wouldn't be in the picture anymore, then it wouldn't have such a meaning. So how do you think you would
I mean, I love contrasts in my work, so I as terrible as it may sound, I love to go to Auschwitz.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounded so.
No, it's reasonable.
Because of those contrasts, because like I'm every time I'm there, I'm fully aware of the terror that happened there, and I'm very sensitive to touching something that was a part of this chunk of history. So, but when I see people totally like in a crowd having fun, for instance, or there are people having fun, like kids who are not thinking about where they are and what happened, and families that are just exhausted after a long day of walking around Krakow, and then they went on a bus to Auschwitz. So it's those kind of small things are very interesting for me. But I wouldn't agree with you if now that's a good idea, because I'm actually backtracking my career and thinking like this would be a good piece of video, of documentary, of movie. So actually doing a documentary strictly based on this picture, and pursuing this idea, I think it would be good. I think it would be you could do it in edit, you could do it in it's a good idea. I don't know. Also, I would need to check if someone did it or not. I wouldn't like to do something that work on something that someone did before. So
yes, another thing, because we saw all of the photos from Auschwitz, and another photo that really captured, that really like interested me, was the no walking sign.
Oh yes.
In front of, I think, a bunker, or
no, that's actually the gas chamber.
Oh.
Okay.
That's actually the gas chamber. Yeah, and the guy on the Segway, it's like there's this history and
Yeah.
modernity that
Yeah.
grows around this place.
I think it also shows how people kind of sometimes disrespect the place if they had to put in a no walking sign next to a gas
Exactly,
chamber.
exactly. Because people also, yeah. But if you dug deeper into it, it's understandable. Like people, like because I feel myself like I would totally walk into that.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm-
curiousness.
it's just people are
Yeah.
curious. People want to touch it. People want to go into it.
Want to see it?
Yeah. But I every time I'm looking at those photos, there's this Louis C.K. stand up, and he says like, who would have thought that people are gonna be buying tickets to Auschwitz? And that's
Yes,
also
that's
sums up
true.
like this kind of idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would have think that people will be
Buying
paying
tickets
for
to-
for being in Auschwitz? It's terrible. It's the whole concept of it's interesting that, and there are more places like that or situations that that also I'm drawn to in that way, like the Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial. So
Another photo that we saw and really interested us was the guard on like this, what is it
Scooter?
called? The scooter.
the Segway,
In
yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Auschwitz,
yes.
yes.
What was the vision behind the photo?
That was this clash of modernity and past, because there was he in the back in the foreground there's also a guard's nest, like the
Yeah.
that the I think that's the actual one that the Nazis were guarding the people not to run away. So
Yeah.
it's like the guy on the scooter is like complementing like the modernity of the whole thing, because he's actually guarding the people who are visiting
Yeah.
Auschwitz. So it kind of brings this situation, this frame back into life in today's world. Like you still have a guard. He's a guard. There was a guard upstairs, guarding the people in the camp, and he's the modern type of guard guarding the new people in the
tourists,
tourists who are visiting. So that was the idea.
We found out, I mean, you told us before the talk that you were there for a movie.
Yes, I had the pleasure to be a backstage photographer for The Zone of Interest, Jonathan Glazer's Zone of Interest.
Yes.
One of my favorite directors, and who started out as a music video director, commercial director. Then he made a few great movies. He doesn't necessarily do a movie like every third or fifth year, but he's every 5 years or so, but like every, I think, 10 or 15 years he makes a movie, and it's great. So my friend, who's a producer, proposed that I if I could do it, and I said yeah, sure. And I mean, I think the highlight of the whole thing was actually, I could talk with John every day on set, and the thing that I found out was actually great, because they wanted a war photographer to take pictures of this Hess's story, and of course they didn't know me, but they wanted this renowned war photographer, Don McCulling. I remember his name later. He's from London, but he's, I don't know, 85 or something, and they actually asked him if he can do pictures on set, and he said like, I'm not gonna be standing on set on any. He didn't like the idea, so they couldn't get him, and so they sourced out locally, and and I was happy that they've actually reviewed my portfolio. So they looked through my pictures before they've chosen me. So that's great. Like that's a very high level of professionalism on their side too. You know, I wasn't like a main part of. I mean, I was the main part of the crew, but I wasn't like so. I didn't have this crucial role in the whole process, so that's nice that I got some compliments from John on my photography. That was great. So and being on set, I don't know if you've read into how it was made, and every scene was filmed with around 8 cameras simultaneously.
Yes.
To keep the realism of life. Like he didn't like to do like cuts and
exactly
and retakes of and he combined exteriors and interiors in one scenes that lasted for like some of them like 7-8 minutes. So it was like small theatrical place. So that was really great to be there and watch that. And sometimes for some of them I was actually inside the house, hidden somewhere from cameras. So
really
in Hass's house, yes. So
wow.
So that was great.
Yeah, everything is filmed as if there are no close-ups. I've noticed.
Yes, no,
it's
no.
like a hidden camera in the room.
Yes.
Well, something happens in the room. That's what I loved about the movie.
A lot of cameras, some of them, a lot of those cameras seen each other. So they were erased in post-production.
Yeah.
But that was the Jonathan the most important thing for him was the truth. Like he wanted the truth out of every scene. No cuts, no nothing, like full scenes. So we did a scene throughout the day, and in the evening they've rehearsed the scene that's going to be shot the next day, and that's how it was.
So this was Harbinger's Book and Film Club podcast. We would like to thank Kuba for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much,
and
yes.
Thank you guys for watching. So you can follow us on Instagram, and see you next time.